Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to the Digitally Uploaded Podcast, the companion podcast, digitallydownloaded.net. My name's Alan. Hello, I'm here. I returned from the grave once again, and with me this week I have Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
Oh, it was very confusing. I could sense as soon as I said that there would be something wrong with that. We have Matt and we have Matt, so I'm going to say Australian Matt and there's New Zealand Matt. Is that all right?
Yeah, that works. How's it going, mate?
yeah, Australia. Yeah. So we have both Matts.
That was a masterful impersonation of an Australian accent there, Alan.
Thank you. I have lived here for a bit. I do actually exist in the world. We also have Harvard. Hello, Harvard.
Hello.
Hello, Harvard. Can you do an Australian accent for me?
I can't. Sorry. What am I doing with my mouth?
Do you smell toast?
Do you smell toast?
What?
No,
What's going on?
No, if you ever stroke, you smell toast.
No, I thought do you smell toast was the words you say to get yourself into the angler.
Okay. Say razor blades, but say it weirdly.
Razor blades.
Razor blades. Sounds like rise up lights. Look, okay, whatever. We're moving on.
Give up.
Hello, Trent.
Hello.
How are you?
I have a natural Australian accent.
Can you ham it up though?
Wait, are you saying I do have an Australian accent which sounds like a bogan?
No, just make it aggressively bogan.
Oi, mate, give us some coppers. I don't know.
Give you some coppers.
Give me some coppers.
Matt, I feel like you've been left out of this. Can you try an Australian accent? Both Matts. You know what? No, we're gonna move on. This is a disaster. We're gonna go to some music.
Hatsune Miku.
Jesus.
Miku doesn't have an Australian accent.
Hatsune Miku singing in an Australian accent is though.
I sincerely hope not.
I think I'm going to need to YouTube if Miku's done a minute work cover, because that would be pretty cool.
And welcome back from that. So Harvard is playing a game. I'm gonna get him to introduce it because I'm gonna say it wrong probably. Harvard, can you tell us about what you've been playing?
Yeah, so the game is called Lapis X Labyrinth. Like, you know when you have crossovers and let's say it's like one thing X another thing?
Yes.
Maybe it's actually called Lapis Cross Labyrinth, now that I think about it. But that's what it's called. It's
Japanese
Lapis X
games.
Labyrinth.
Japanese games and their names.
Yeah, and I
Under
don't
night
know
in
if-
birth late Steve.
Just
No,
like
but there's a
bunch of
new one.
punctuation, like,
Under the-
like
Under night in
semicolons.
birth.
Okay.
Late Stee clear.
Late Steeclear.
Yeah.
What a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, what happens in this game? I don't know if you guys remember like Maple Story, the old school
Yeah.
RPG. Yeah, the one that's like a platformer, but also in like an action RPG. But it's not really a platformer or an action RPG because it's really just about going around and killing things over and over again to get coins to like level up your character so you can go kill different things.
Mhm.
Like the mechanics of platforming and RPG combat aren't really there. It's just get stronger and then do the same thing over again and then get stronger.
It's a good loop, to be honest.
It is a good loop, except for when it isn't. And I don't really know why, in this case, it doesn't do it for me, because there have been games which have been entirely grinding, and I've been like, oh, this is great, like Bloons TD. But for some reason,
It
This
always
time
comes back
it
to
doesn't work.
balloons.
so I guess I'm curious to you guys, like, what kind of games do you tolerate grinding? And, like, when is grinding too much and hard to deal with for you?
Final Fantasy XIV. It's an endless grind.
I mean, that's the point of an MMO, to be fair.
Yeah,
That's literally like it's why you're playing the game.
yeah, that's exactly right. It's I think the entire MMO genre relies on you just grinding and grinding and grinding for the sake of it. I guess you get nicer costumes later on.
You do.
Or yeah.
I don't know. There are some times where it's what I want to do because it's mindless, and a lot of the games that because technically you could say that you're grinding for matchmaking ranking when you play like an online game.
No,
And
it's different. You're not doing the same thing over and over again, though.
Yeah, you are. If you're playing Overwatch, you're doing the same thing over and over again and hating yourself the entire time.
What an Overwatch burn.
Yeah, that game's broken.
Well, that's the thing, I guess, isn't it? It's like a grind's just a loop, a gameplay loop, and every game has loops. Otherwise, it's not really a game, is it?
I mean, that's true. But the loop is so small that you're just, every 5 minutes, you're back to the start of it.
Yeah, but I guess I grew up playing old JRPGs, and they all had the super short loop, like the original Final Fantasy or whatever. That was one hell of a grind, and yeah, I guess these days I think RPG developers try and make it less about the grind, and I don't know. There are times where I kind of wish that there was more to it, in terms of grinding up levels. I think characters and whatever in modern RPGs get their experience levels quicker, and yeah, I don't know.
Like I would say,
back in the day, the RPG was a
Here we go.
back in the day, the RPG was a test of patience, and now it's not.
back in the day, you used to have to hate yourself to play games.
Exactly,
and it felt like dirty slimes before you could move on to slightly different colored slimes.
Yes,
I thought you said dirty slimes.
Dirty slimes.
Dirty slime.
You have to go around and fight some dirty slimes.
And that also is what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I don't know. I think I grew up in the phase where like PS2 was the king. So I just missed out on FF9 because it came out on PS1. And my first proper like modern JRPG was Final Fantasy X, and I was very happy to grind in that because the combat was awesome. And it like made, even when you're grinding, you still had to think.
It
Like
didn't have any dirty slimes though.
it didn't have any dirty slimes. It had a lot of like regular slime.
Had a lot of like really weird monsters, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's great.
But
Like the most that you'll get is like a weird looking Malboro, and that's pretty much it in terms of
I
like.
actually,
Final Fantasy.
I've not finished Final Fantasy X because of the grind. Because
Oh.
I can't remember if the game has difficulty settings. But
No,
Does
it
not.
doesn't.
It does
I
not.
feel like it wants you to fight every monster you see in the overworld, Otherwise,
Yes.
you'll hit a wall and you'll just not be able to beat the boss because you're not strong enough.
Yeah. Well, like also it relies on you giving enough of a shit about doing the sphere grid stuff, like doing as much of it as you can, and getting like dual classes happening by like the midpoint of the game.
That probably makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I haven't been doing that and I'm at the midpoint of the game, am I screwed? Do I need to like just
No. You just need to
hit the
like
gym?
get your shit together.
You just need to grind lots, and then you'll be fine.
Well, there's
that's why I
a couple of
stopped.
spheres that you can fix that problem with, where you can like teleport one of your characters to another character's sphere at any point.
Oh.
Or you can also activate an already activated sphere node by another player. So if you want to make Yuna like a battle mage, you can make her like learn all of Lulu's stuff as well. It's one of those things. The game like sort of, you don't have to grind as much as you'd think. You just have to be smart with the sphere grid and like sort of plan ahead, which like is annoying if you've never played the game before.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in hindsight, you can't ask a player to plan ahead if you also don't tell them
what the heck to do. Yeah.
The Final Fantasy VIII problem all over again.
Yes. Yeah.
So going back to Lapis X Labyrinth, is it like a tactical RPG? Or
No. It's a platformer action RPG.
Right.
So like MapleStory was the closest analog for me, but I guess something like honestly kind of reminds me of, and this is not a good comparison, but Spelunky.
Oh, I'm into it
because of like the jumping around and like the fast combat, but it's also not really like that. It's more just like you find objects in your level and that opens up the door to go to the next level.
And so because you say it's a grind, does that mean you need to replay a level over and over and over again?
Not actually. So there's worlds and each world has 7 levels and each level is kind of the same thing. So it's like you're not playing one level over and over again, but you are playing very similar levels over and over again.
I guess, yeah, because I guess that's where grinding games can lose me these days, is if I need to replay the same thing over and over and over again to get the experience together to push on.
Yeah. I'm actually more bothered if it's a good story and that happens to be grinding and the grinding's not like the focus.
Yeah, if the game is wasting my time by like making me do the dumb garbage, like I don't care.
Oh yeah, so like Persona 5.
Yeah, like that.
No, that's a lie. That is slander.
True story. Persona 5 would have been so much better if it was just like a visual novel with no gameplay bits.
It's flatly incorrect.
It is true.
It is. See, Matt and I agree on this one, Alan. So you're obviously wrong. Because Persona 5 was one massive grind, especially in the later half of it.
It was not.
It felt like I wasn't making progress, and I just wanted to get to the next story bit, and I was getting very bored with it, which is, I guess, the issue. And yeah, I guess for me, grind gets bad when I do need to do too much replaying. I spend most of my time replaying games, just trying to get further in Dark Souls or Sekiro. I haven't got time for doing that with RPGs as well.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I think like grinding, when it's like non-intrusive, I guess, and like if I want to do it, I will generally do it. But like I feel like it's a really easy way to pad a game's length, and I hate that because it's like if your game's done, it's done. I don't care.
Yeah, it kind of gets stupid or surreal when you have to run around in circles to try and get random battles, and you're just doing laps like a dog chasing its tail.
I still definitely did that in Final Fantasy X. Like that was a fun time. Well, because like the game opens up at the end of it just to be like, hey, this is a giant field, go run around it, and it's great. And there's like a whole monster capturing thing. Like if there's something else you can do while you're doing it, that's okay. But otherwise, I never want to see that game ever again. So, okay, Harvard. This game, you said it's like Spelunky, and that's pretty much made me excited, despite the fact I had zero interest in this game at all. What do you do in it? Explain to me.
It is just a platform RPG. So you go on a mission, and then you get dropped into this world, which, to be honest, and this is terrible of me as a person reviewing it, I can't tell if it's randomly generated or not, because there are things that appear like back over again, but I don't know if it's the level that's the same or just the piece that's the same. But anyways, you have to go find a bunch of crystals and shoot them, and every now and then a bunch of monsters will appear, like a monster house, and you have to fight them, and you have to find the door to the next level, and
Okay.
it's just that.
So it's a bit Risk of Rainy, but without
that
random
was what I was going to
generation.
compare it to. Risk of
And
Rain.
all the
but-
dudes can stand on each other's heads, right?
Yeah, and so that's like the little gimmick mechanic is that you make a party of 4, and you can switch between which active character you have, and the ones that are not active stand on your head. And so you have a little tower of party that you run around with, and it looks kind of cute, except it doesn't because there's too many visual things going on that you can't see anything at any point in the game.
Yeah, I like the stacking thing. I mean, World of Final Fantasy did a similar thing. Obviously, it's a turn-based game rather than an action game, but you could stack a chocobo on your head, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like
That was
weirdly
fun.
endearing,
That was
right?
cute. Yeah, it was cute.
It's a game.
It's a game.
No, I did not like the art style of that game one bit. So
What?
World of Final
Final Fantasy?
yeah, I
What?
hated it.
That's because you have no soul, Alan.
No, it's because I don't
Zero
like
soul.
nonsense.
You got nothing.
No, give me the art style of Final Fantasy XII, like over literally anything else. Like that's all I care about.
Final Fantasy XII is like realisms.
No, it's not.
No.
It's
like-
realisms.
It's like
Realism.
painterly. Yeah, everything looks like it's painted on. It's great.
Nah, I don't know. I think Final Fantasy XII was like, I guess, what Square Enix would have done with Final Fantasy 15 if they were doing it back on the PS2. It was obviously it's fantasy, but
It is obviously it's not reality, Matt.
no, it's not reality. It's not like it's Days Gone or some other crap like that. But it's not like World of Final Fantasy, which is cute and cartoonish and bright and charming and happy. It's much more serious.
Well,
Yeah.
the Final Fantasy is like if Nintendo made a Final Fantasy game.
It's the Pokemon Let's Go of
No, because if
Oh, that's-
Nintendo makes RPGs these days, they're all like super big busted women running around and doing anime things.
That was
And-
one game, Matt.
it was actually 3 games.
Actually, no,
What?
it's all the Fire Emblems. It's the
yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles. It's basically anything Nintendo does that's
I was
RPG
thinking
these
about
days.
Xenoblade. Like
I
that game
was
is atrocious.
I was thinking about Xenoblade, yeah. It's funny because the story of that game is such like a teenage power fantasy too.
Yeah.
You guys obviously haven't played enough Fire Emblem because those are super fan servicey these days.
No, I know. That's why I don't play them.
They used to be like so wholesome about it too.
So wholesome about the fan service.
No. Just like the character designs in Fire Emblem, they used to be so like
Harvard.
regular fantasy.
Go back to the Game Boy Advanced Fire Emblem, play the one with Lyn in it, look at Lyn's costume, and imagine what that would look like with the graphics we have today.
But she
It's
lived
always-
on the plains. You don't want to wear too much when you live on the plains. Otherwise, you'd get too
We
hot.
live it. No, we're leaving it there. You cannot explain this.
You don't want to wear too much when you're living on the plains. That's my favorite quote ever.
All right, we're gonna go to some music. Let's go to Fire Emblem.
And welcome back, everybody. I've ripped the mic from Alan's hand so I can introduce this section.
I don't have
know why.
a mic in my hand. The illusion's broken, Matt. I've
You
ruined it.
just ruined the suspension of disbelief for everybody listening, Alan.
Yeah, it's on my tape. If you, okay, no, this is the thing I'm gonna get really annoyed about. If you are using a mic and you're holding it in your hand and it's not a studio mic, you are an idiot. That's the end of it. Mark Sargent is an idiot for many reasons. Sorry, continue.
Okay, so hang on. I just got to put my mic. Got to put my mic down.
Are you
Okay.
serious? Matt.
Alan just called me an idiot.
I definitely did, and I don't regret it. If you were seriously holding your mic, it's like you get like little scritchy sounds, and I don't like them.
Okay, on topic. So, for people who have been listening to the podcast for a very long time, from way back when we actually first launched it, which was 3 years ago now, you may remember that Alan has had a vendetta against Final Fantasy XII, to the great irritation of everybody else that was on the podcast, because Final Fantasy XII is great. The game recently came out on the Switch, and Alan picked it up, and Alan is now eating humble pie because it was awesome. It is awesome, and now he realizes it's brilliant. So,
okay, so no, I feel like I have to defend myself because Matt's being a slanderous boy. I made it very clear that I had not played the game since I was a small baby child boy. So, like, I don't know. I feel like the game is not suited to a 10-year-old idiot child who is like, yeah, Jack and Daxter. You know? So, like, it's also not Rogue Galaxy. When I bought the game, I wanted Rogue Galaxy, and it's not Rogue Galaxy, so that's fine. Yeah, no, the game's pretty fun. The Zodiac Age expansion / update thingo, it's really good. Like, it fixes a lot of problems that I did not like about the original game back in the day, like walking around in the middle of nowhere for 40 minutes because Vaughn is the slowest boy in the world. So, like, it fixes problems like that. And it also fixes the problem of the characters all being determined into what they're doing. So they've taken the job system from Final Fantasy Tactics because it's Ivalice and turned it into like a real thing, which is awesome for this game. I like it a lot more.
So is it the gameplay you like this time around, or do you get the narrative better?
Well, so I'm only like 3 hours in. So narrative means almost nothing to me. Like, Balthier is still cool, Fran is still cool. Like, it's really just a case of I'm not hating actually sitting down and running around the town and playing the game, which, you know, is a good sign for a JRPG because it means I'm going to probably, you know, grind in it for a while. Yeah, it should be good. I don't know. I'm hoping that it is better than I expect. You know, I'm not expecting the world, but I'm expecting it to be more enjoyable than it was for me as a small child boy. I feel like this is a thing that's like for a lot of people as well, where you play a game as a child and you're like, oh, I hate this is dumb. And you go back and you're like, hey, this is actually pretty cool. It's like Civ for me. I hated Civ as a kid, but now like I have, you know, over 500 hours cumulatively in a whole bunch of different Civ games because I'm a psychopath. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Final Fantasy XII is probably better for older people. I think that you should enjoy the narrative a bit more now that you're a little bit more mature and can kind of engage with it on that level rather than just, hey, Van's a bit of a tool. Van's a bit of a tool, isn't he? Because he is. He still is. He will always be for it.
Cursed.
Hey, don't you hate on my Penelo?
She has twin tails, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Also, she is the worst.
Matt, I did not invite you on this podcast to throw shade at Penelo.
That was absolutely perfectly timed. Well done.
But that, I guess, segues into the actual point of this section of the podcast, which was to talk about whether
why Penelo sucks.
Wait, there is a point?
Yeah. To talk about re-releases versus remakes versus whether they should just let a game stay in the depths of history. Because I've been playing one too. This week I was playing a game called Blades of Time, which was released on the PlayStation 3 in such small quantities that nobody actually got to play it. And they've recently re-released it on the Switch, and I played it, and I was left wondering why they even bothered. because it's terrible on every level. It's a terrible, terrible game. And why anybody thought to re-release that, I do not know.
Yeah, that's the thing that confuses me about Blades of Time. First of all, Blades of Time, the most generic action game name I've ever heard in my life. Second of all, who was like, you know what, we should remaster and remake?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't
The
understand it.
classic, the blockbuster Blades of Time.
I mean, it was one thing to do Onimusha earlier, around Christmas time when Capcom re-released that, because that's a classic. It's not the perfect game, but it has a lot of merit, and it's worth re-exploring for that historical value that it offers and all that kind of stuff. But Blades of Time just doesn't do anything. It doesn't. It doesn't have a reason to exist, and it doesn't have a reason to be re-released, and I don't get it. I just don't understand it, because we have had a lot of re-releases, remakes, and whatever, and we've got more coming. But of all of them, I don't understand why Blades of Time is there when they could be going back and, I don't know, bring us Nier. Give us Nier again. That would be good.
It'll literally never happen.
I know,
Guys,
because
you
Yoko Taro is doing it
look
deliberately to troll us now. He's just like, no, I don't want to release it just because it'll piss people off if I don't. I don't know.
Well, he's dying this year, apparently, according to his own messages.
Yoko Taro is always doing something.
No, he's dying. He said that he's going to die and take everyone down with him in 2019.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tweet from like 2006 or something. No, 2016. It's great.
Has he just been a robot this entire time?
Look, maybe he wasn't actually there. Maybe it was all just a ploy by a greater understanding.
I was actually saying when he came to Sydney, he should have just sent a random person, like not even a Japanese person, just put the head on him, just be like, just go take interviews.
Hello, it is I, Yoko Taro.
I could be Yoko Taro for a day.
Hello, fellow kids.
Hello, fellow gamers, rise up.
Yeah, Matt, what about you in terms of remakes? I mean, do you think remakes are a good thing, or do you think it's enough to just re-release certain games, or should every game get a re-release? Remake?
I think most of the time it's enough to just re-release it.
Yeah.
And
Like Final Fantasy VII, did they need to remake it?
Probably, yeah, because the game looks like trash.
Everyone already owns the re-release, so now they need to get them to buy the remake.
Yeah, but
it's-
Alan, the game still looks like trash. Didn't you see the Twitter thing? They had to fix Ares because they ruined her in the
Because
trailer.
Because
her
Kratos
face
killed
was
him
too long.
in War
Her
3.
face was too long, so they had to squish it.
I don't know. People are stupid, and I'm like, I have very little patience anymore. I'm dying. I'm old.
But yeah, Matt, going back to your points.
I mean, even if it's Blades of Time, I don't think it is the end of the world to
Yeah, like who's gonna buy
just
Blades?
re-release it. Like, yeah, I mean,
But-
You didn't have to play the bloody thing, Matt.
maybe for like the 1.5 people in the world who enjoyed it, they can enjoy it again.
half people.
Half a person.
Is this just like a rude thing to say, or?
But I feel, yeah, if you then go and spend all the time and money and everything that goes into remaking it, and it ends up being as bad or worse, then that's just a waste of time and money. And I know it's not a game, but Aladdin would be a good example of that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Prince
you could just
Ali.
Oh, it's
take the
bad.
original animated film and
just dump on it.
not be a dick about like locking it away in a vault so that people can't buy the DVD. Just be like, here's a DVD, you can buy it, and people will be like, yes, I love this film, I'll buy it.
That's the thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with the animated film.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It's kind of perfect for what it is, and to do a exact remake of that only live action is just the most irritating thing ever. Like, if they wanted to do another Aladdin, then that's great. I've got no issue with doing another take on Aladdin, but why not go back to the book and then do a new version of
Why not
Aladdin?
just skip Aladdin 1 and go to Return of Jafar?
No, not do a sequel. Just do a new interpretation of the story. You know,
Yeah, with Gilbert Gottfried as everyone.
Yeah, instead of trying to recreate as closely as possible the animated one, but in a format that you just can't really do without animation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
but like people will still go to it. People will still spend the money, and Disney is still.
oh no, it's a
laughing.
safe bet.
So
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Safe
thing.
bet.
Disney's going to make an absolute shit ton of money out of it, and that's the annoying thing, because they know they will, and that's why they're doing that. And the Lion King. Don't even get me started on the Lion King, because it's still an animated film. Just now, it's a realism's animated film, and it's got no aesthetic value whatsoever. And that film can go die down a hole. As far
Donald
as
Glover is Simba, and John
Donald
Oliver
Glover is
as
pretty
the
good.
bird. John Oliver as the bird is pretty good.
I mean, John Oliver's great. I've got no issue with John
He's
Oliver.
definitely a Zazu and a half.
Exactly.
Look, I just want to know how deep they can get.
Yeah, but now
Scar's
Scar's not going to be at Jeremy Irons, so you pick up John Oliver, you lose Jeremy Irons. It's still shit.
Just
52
remix the two
John
films
Oliver.
together.
Well, like, okay, so my goal is to one day have a voice as deep as Mufasa's and do like the Simba, everything the light touches that you see. Like, I want to do that, but now it's going to be even harder because like the new voice actor is kind of better. I forget his name and I feel really bad, but I like his voice way more. So I don't know. Remakes are good potentially, but I don't know.
I think
I
you'd be
feel
up to this
actually-
when you go through puberty. You'd be able to have that deep voice.
Fuck off.
Your days are limited, Alan.
Yeah, look, I'm dying soon. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't think remakes are a good idea in general, just because they have that potential of I guess.
Trash.
Well, yeah, I was thinking of a nice way to put it, but not living up to the expectations of people who love the original, and you probably can't, because those original whatever
not really
games or films or whatever, they all have that kind of nostalgia value, and if you start messing with that, then it's whether it's Final Fantasy VII or Aladdin or whatever. I don't see there to be any sense in trying to copy that or rest on that. Why not make a new Final Fantasy, like a new game set in the world of Final Fantasy VII? Why not make a Final Fantasy VII 2?
They did.
Because then a proper Final Fantasy VII 2, not a
Dirge of Cerberus.
not Dirge of Cerberus, a proper one. Why not make that? Why not get a new bunch of characters in that world and have a new kind of story? Because then you still give the players that experience of Final Fantasy VII, but you free yourself a little bit creatively, that you're not trying to recapture what made the original that good. And it's the same with Aladdin. Why do a remake of a cartoon when you can do a new Aladdin? Remakes make no sense to me. Re-releases make sense, even I guess Blade of Time, I can accept that, but remakes don't make sense to me.
To me, I think actually the one argument I can make is the existence of remakes makes developers who are more limited in their resources a bit more daring, because they might, like, if the core game is really good down the line, they might have a chance to make the definitive version of it or something like that. So it's like how you can't play Final Fantasy VII, Matt, because the graphics are like eye pain. But if they remake
true,
it,
they are.
I'm in horrible pain when I'm playing Final Fantasy VII.
yeah, like Carl's
really
spiky
do.
hair is just like in your eyes. But the remake fixes that, right? So you don't have to worry about that anymore. You can enjoy the game as the original developers envisioned it, but weren't able to make at that point in time.
Yeah, it's true. I guess I can understand that. I mean, Final Fantasy VII really is that ugly game where I'm actually happy Ares dies, because that's a couple of less polygons to look at.
Also, I want to point out for a second, I don't think a lot of these remakes are meant for people who like the game to begin with.
That's true too, yeah.
Like it's
The audience thing.
so the thing that I didn't really enjoy the Beauty and the Beast remake, but my niece, who is like 4, loves it, and she's seen the original and still prefers the new one.
As in the live action one. With
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
it's not really for me, and it wasn't really for my sister either. It was for that new generation,
Yeah.
And
I can understand that. Like Final
I
Fantasy
get it.
VII with the action combat system probably isn't. You're right. It probably isn't for people who love that turn-based original.
Yeah, it's not really made for us. So I feel like, having a go at it's kind of a bit like, well, yeah, but
Whether with crotchety old fans or like, bring back the old days.
yeah, no, I'm going to start a petition to get them to remake, what's it called? Star Wars Episode 8.
and Game of Thrones season 8
And also Endgame Season Thrones. Avengers Season.
Or I should just stop Game of Thrones and just do more Westworld.
They should. They should also just go back in time and make me watch Breaking Bad again.
I'm still waiting.
No,
for
Breaking Bad was bad.
I'm still waiting for Total War Game of Thrones. That would be good.
That would be
It-
pretty cool, actually.
That would be neat. I would play that probably. That seems like a really no-brainer of a tie-in.
I know. I
All
can't believe
Game of
they haven't
Thrones-
already done.
Game of Thrones Warriors.
Oh, that would be good too.
Yeah,
Except, I was going to say, but Game of Thrones Muso would be great, except at the end of each level, your character would get killed some way horribly, which means that
You have to start a new character.
you need to start a new character each time. Yeah.
Oh, there was a Game of Thrones game, and it was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, there's been a couple of them, and they've all been
Mobile
terrible.
game.
No,
Or-
the Telltale game was
Telltale game.
fine.
The Telltale games is probably the best of them. There was
Yeah.
also an RPG.
The RPG is what I'm talking about. Where if you have a bow, your way of fighting people is to stand in their face and just gently pluck the bowstring at them. It's like it's
Yeah.
a root. It's great.
That one was disappointing because it actually came from Spider Studio, which is the developer that also did Off Orcs and Men and Technomancer.
Yeah.
And I quite like them, but that was a poor game. But there was also this is even before that one. There was a Game of Thrones real-time strategy game, which had all kinds of potential, I guess, and they fucked it up completely.
Yeah.
Sad.
Hooray.
So
but
they should not remake that one.
But there is now an official licensed Game of Thrones browser
Yeah, I
RPG.
forgot the aims. The
so
ads
many ads
so
for it.
much. Yeah. And I just hear the music and I get like, it's like no matter what happens, if I hear that soundtrack, I'm gonna be like, so
That's how they get you, Alan.
that's how they get me.
The theme song's the best thing about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Rami Djawadi.
It really is.
He's a very, very good composer.
It's a great piece of music. It's actually, it's actually because it's 3/4 Viennese waltz. I actually use that one to practice when I'm doing my dance training, and yeah, it never.
We put the Game of
tiring.
Thrones theme as our next song. Is that okay?
Yeah,
think we
why
get-
not?
All right, we're doing it.
Oh,
No.
we're probably going to get copyright strict. So don't.
Can I get like a novelty? Can I? No, I'm gonna sing it. Ba, 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 da, da, ba, ba. I'm not. It's a bad idea.
And
Actually-
we're taking up the air.
But actually, since we're going to music, I've got a request.
No.
Because we're talking about remakes and stuff. One of the earliest remakes, and I've been playing it a bit on the Switch because it got re-released as part of that Castlevania collection. The Super NES Castlevania 4, was basically a remake of
Yeah.
Castlevania 1. And it has I don't know the name of the song, we'll find it, but it has a samba rhythm song in the second level, I think, which I really like, really, really like. And I was reminded of how good it is because I kept playing it. So we use that song.
And welcome back. It's me. I'm back again. I hope you're excited for some fun. Okay, so we just spent about like 10 minutes trying to think about what we should talk about, and the prevailing thing is that game names are really dumb sometimes because Days Gone is terrible. Arvin, can you explain to me why Days Gone is bad in terms of names?
So, you know how sometimes if you have a sequel, you make it the plural of that word. So I can't actually think of an example, but it's like ring and rings, right?
No, it's different to ring and rings because ring went to ring 2 and then it went to rings.
Well, you know what I mean. Like you give yourself a space for it, right? But if you call it Days Gone, then you have no more sequel. You have no more. You have no more plurals.
What about Weeks Gone?
Weeks Gone.
Yeah, that's
like
28 days delayed. It became
28 days gone.
28 days gone. 28 weeks gone, and now 28 years gone or whatever. Yeah, that's my one.
Yeah.
Also the sub-game name.
Oh, you know what? I made a joke about Eunice earlier, but Eunice is a terrible name for a game.
What? Eunice.
Well,
Oh,
I mean, Eunice is a better name than what the actual name is when you spell bring the acronym out into full.
Yeah, I don't know. Why would you name a game in a way that makes me think this is going to suck? You know? It's not a hard concept. Give me a name that I can immediately understand and be like, yeah, you know what? You know what Final Fantasy is going to be about? It's a fantasy game. Cool. And it's not final. That's a bad opportunity.
The original one wasn't.
The original one was, but yeah, I don't know.
but like Dragon Quest.
I mean,
right?
could
The
you
Quest with dragons
imagine
in it.
like if they once you kind of called your game Final Fantasy and you're expecting it was going to be your last one, and it was so successful that you could make another one. It's not like the title of the next one can be shit. We got that wrong. This is not the Final Fantasy.
It's a penultimate fantasy.
Actually, that would be a pretty good title. Shit, we got that wrong. This is not the Final Fantasy.
I've cooked it.
Well, they could have just made every following game a prequel, so that they were just kind of like, well, that was the final one. We just have to find a way to make other things that
I'm
lead
sure
up to
that
the final.
someone's thought of that, like the theory that every Final Fantasy game is connected, Hyrule Historia style, and has
some of
Final
them
Fantasy
are.
1 at the end.
Some of them are
Well,
like,
I mean, they must be, because otherwise, how would Kingdom Hearts happen?
That is true.
oh, that's a different world, isn't it? That's like a different timeline or some nonsense.
There's like world with
Speaking of names that are absolutely crap,
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Super right.
I don't know. I Japanese games. I love Japanese games, as everybody knows. But
Really?
yeah, I really do. I have a big thing for Japanese games. But why can't they just call their game something that is somehow related to their game? Like mostly RPGs and fighting games. But what does Under Night, In Birth, Flip Around, North South actually mean? It doesn't mean anything.
What does flip around north south even mean?
Well, that's
Welcome to Digitally Uploaded, ladies and gentlemen. Really hard-hitting conversational topic.
And we're back onto Lapis X Cross Labyrinth.
Yeah,
now.
terrible.
yeah, these things don't mean anything. It's
Is-
nuts.
Is there any sort of labyrinth in Lapis X Labyrinth?
Yeah, the whole game is a labyrinth. It's like, Etrian Odyssey, where you've got a town built on a labyrinth. It's the same thing.
Well, what does it have lapis though?
I have no idea.
I
I'm
guess
not
it has
far,
lots
I'm
of-
not
lots of
far enough to
gems.
know what that means yet.
Not old enough to know what that means yet. Yeah, no. Like, if you make a game and you want me to play it, don't call it like, I don't know, all those Atelier games have terrible names.
It's just named after the main character.
The Fate of Lacrimosa. What the frick is a
Oh,
Lacrimosa?
that's true. Yeah, that is pretty silly.
What
No,
does that mean?
Atelier, the first part of Atelier games makes sense because it is just Atelier, which is what the game's
yeah.
about, and then the name of the character. But always the subtitle is something stupid, like the Scion of Arland, and it's like, well,
What the hell does that mean?
it doesn't mean anything. Oh, well, it means things, but you've got to play the game first.
I
It
was
doesn't
just-
need to mean things. It's just a word. It's like, yeah, this is a different version of why.
Sorry, I would like to really quickly pull you up on that. Words don't need meanings.
True, they don't.
Use me.
See, it's like Fortnite. Fortnite isn't set in a fortnight. Like, it
No,
doesn't mean
no,
anything.
it's set at night, and you like build forts.
As a pun on Fortnite.
Yeah, because you went to the last 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure. And, like,
No one builds anything anymore in Fortnite.
No, but that was the reason for that. It makes sense.
It made sense once upon a time.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense anymore. Well, PUBG is also atrocious for that.
I mean, it's just the name of the designer, and then
Yeah, but I'm not going to call my game Hironobu Sakaguchi's freaking like Zelda.
But speaking of weird names, can we just talk
Well,
about vision
speaking of
models
weird
for a
names, The Legend
Oh.
of Zelda is a weird name because it's not about Zelda in the first place.
What is? It's the
It
Legend of
is.
Zelda.
That's
No,
like a
it's not.
Nintendo
It's
thing,
about
though.
Link. It's actually the quest of Link. That's what it should be called.
And like Metroid.
It's about a Metroid.
See, the Legend of Zelda makes sense because it's Link trying to look for Zelda, and Zelda's just a figment of his imagination. So it's the legend of this girl he once knew.
No, but in literature, if it's a legend about something, it's about that person. It's not about another character who then just happens to encounter that person. You know.
Oh no, but that's what Legend of Zelda is. Like the Link is not a thing, and he encounters the person.
But Zelda's barely in these games.
No, but the point is that if you told that story to your kid, you'd probably tell it from Zelda's perspective.
Exactly. That's what a legend is. If it's a legend about a person, you tell the
Oh,
story about the person.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you tell it from Zelda's perspective, and be
So
like,
you wouldn't
hey,
be like, I was
I mean, it's
asleep
like-
for years.
If you're saying the legend of, I don't know if it is called the legend of Aladdin in 1001 Arabian Nights, but you don't. That story isn't being told from the perspective of the magic carpet. You know, it's about Aladdin.
what? Sorry, you lost me really hard there.
Well, the story of Aladdin is a legend. You know, and the story of Aladdin is about Aladdin. It's not about the magic carpet who just happens to run into Aladdin along the way.
I feel like the Magic Carver is the best character though.
Yeah,
He is.
Fights. Isn't afraid of anything.
He's got balls, that carpet. Yeah, I don't know.
Who's that carpet?
I have no
Yeah,
idea what's
drapes.
going on anymore.
Yeah, look, you know what? Should we just end it here before it becomes even more cursed?
No, I want to see how far this goes.
Oh,
I'm watching this.
Good. Okay. Well,
You gotta pun off into a music choice somehow.
but- Game titles. So go back to game titles. What is a good game title? It should be pretty basic, do you think? Or should it...
I think
I
it
mean-
should like capture the emotional core of the game, right? Like The Last of Us is a good one because you know what you're getting into with that one.
Until you make a
Last of
sequel,
Us.
and then you've got The Last of Us 2, and it's just really awkward, and it's unneeded, and then
Well,
you got a
that's the
sequel.
problem is they made the sequel. The problem isn't with the game title.
Yeah, I mean, The Last of
Yeah.
Us is a good example. It didn't need a sequel in the first place, and that was kind of the point, I guess.
The Last of Us, the second.
Yeah.
Oh, Life is Strange is a good name.
Yeah, it's also a bad
I'm not a big fan of Life
Did
is
someone,
Strange.
wait,
as
did
a
someone
name.
just say it's a bad game?
No,
Yeah.
a bad name.
No, I said it's a
bad
bad.
name.
Oh, bad game. Okay.
I'm fairly confident saying I don't like that game.
I'm
Again, it comes across as like a very hello fellow youths game.
It does. It does. I'm
does.
gonna agree with you there, but it's still good. Good writing.
I think Life is Strange is great. I'm not sold on the name of it. I don't think it.
Would you say it's strange?
I don't think
Yes.
I don't think it describes what the game's really about properly.
It doesn't. You're correct.
No, it does. It's like it's strange in that weird things happening, but it's also strange in
Like going round
the
the
base
twist.
story.
Yeah, it's like the slice of life sort of stuff. It's
Yeah,
like, you know, your
yeah.
life is like strange and weird things are happening because you're going around the twist. We should play that song.
Yeah, I don't
Actually,
know. I'm not. I'm honestly. I don't think that Life is Strange. I think that yes, the game is about the normalcy of life being disrupted in some way by something strange happening. But I don't know. It doesn't work for me.
Mm.
I mean, compare to Stranger Things as a good example of a title that really does work. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. I guess when I see Life is Strange, I don't think anything. Like I'm not really drawn to think about anything. I have to actually start playing it to. I guess to start to think about what the title might have. For me, a title of a game needs to actually tell you about the game before you start playing, because that's the point of it. It's
Yeah.
No,
it's
I
meant to
agree.
be descriptive.
Yeah.
I
I just thought of a real good one for that one. Ace of Seafood.
Ace of Seafood is brilliant.
It's perfect.
That is the most brilliant game ever.
Actually, on that topic, so Resident Evil is a game series that doesn't make any sense. Oh,
Yeah.
Neither does its title.
yeah. It's
It's
like
called Biohazard, though, isn't
Yeah.
it?
The
no.
Japanese title actually fits. Like Biohazard
Mm.
works.
they couldn't get the rights to Biohazard.
But Resident Evil does not. And actually, another horror game has a similar issue, I guess, is Project Zero.
Project Zero, yeah. What's up
Only
with that?
it's kind of the reverse, because I think the American title for it, which is Fatal Frame, that is much more descriptive for what the game's about. Project Zero, what the hell does that mean? That actually makes me think about something like Biohazard. It makes me think about kind of science experiments and stuff. And the game is nothing about that. Like that series is about
Ghouls.
ghosts and stuff.
Project Zero sounds like it's like the developer name. It's like, yeah, we don't know what we're going to call our
Yeah,
game. Let's
it
call
sounds
it Project Zero, and then it comes out to like release time. It's like, oh crap, our game's now gold. What gold? What are we going to release it as? Oh, let's release it as Project Zero.
Project Cross Zone.
Project X Night Under Birth.
I think we can agree that Silent Hill is the best named horror series, though.
It's a good name.
It's a good name.
It tells you what you need to know. It's quiet and there's a hill.
Well, yeah, it has that vaguely sinister kind of tone to it because Silent Hill, but it's also descriptive of what's in the game because obviously the main character of that game is the town itself rather than the people.
Yeah, you run around as the town.
You don't run around, but that's a character. That's the main personality within the game, and that's what everything kind of focuses around.
Plus, the best Silent Hill game has the best subtitle. Shattered Memories, it does the same
Good
thing.
name. Yeah.
It tells you that it gives you the plot
Homecoming.
points.
But I mean, didn't you guys hear that you're not allowed to give descriptive titles anymore?
Oh,
Because they will spoil the.
No. Okay.
That's why they couldn't call the new Avengers Infinity Gauntlet because it was a spoiler.
They couldn't have called it Endgame then because that would like revealed at the end.
The end of the game.
Potentially Endgame.
I guess they were okay with that, but apparently it was originally supposed to be called Infinity Gauntlet, but they changed it because it was too much of a spoiler.
I don't know why they actually announced the cast for these movies because that would be a spoiler.
Yeah.
If they got an actor in there.
They kind of made a huge mistake by, releasing the trailer for Spider-Man Far From
I
Home
heard about that.
before Endgame came out. It's like, oh, he's alive. Okay. I mean, they were never not going to be alive. But
And then there was like a second Spider-Man trailer, which was like tacked on to the end of Endgame as DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they announced Black Panther 2 long before Endgame came out.
Because they like
gotta
money.
make it work somehow.
You know what they should have not done is actually tell people like whose contracts are up for ending, because then now everyone knows who died and who. Yeah,
you can't do that. Like you can't leave the actor in the lurch about where their money's coming from. Form a union.
Well, you could just have the actor sign an NDA.
Well, they also do, yeah, right.
Well, you'd hope so.
You hear all the stories about like the actors getting a bag put over their head and like getting shoved into a van and like waking up.
And getting killed, yeah.
No, like they wake up on the film set and they're like, I don't even know what my lines are. What am I here for? And then you're like, you're in the Avengers now.
I'm going to refuse to watch any more Avengers movies until they make a Meek movie. I think.
A what?
Meek.
I hate this already. We're going to music.
Meek. Have you not watched Thor Dark or what the third Thor movie? Harvey?
Oh, is that the Rock dude?
Yeah, Meek.
Oh, I love that dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is so lame.
I would watch a movie with the Rock dude.
Yeah. He's the director. What's his name?
Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's his character.
I can't get his accent right. I like him a lot, but I can't get his accent right.
He's got the best. He's got the best New Zealand accent. He's perfect.
Waititi. Terrible accent.
He doesn't have time to make another Avengers movie. He's too busy making a movie about Hitler.
I saw that. That was great.
I will see that movie because I know that it'll be good.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see that because anything he touches, I'm so sold on.
Yeah,
because they should call every movie just Taika Waititi's movie. Then I'll watch it.
Taika Waititi's movie 2. Taika Waititi's movie 39.
Taika Waitito.
Taika Waititi's in this movie.
No, Taika Waititi's Taito's Space Invaders.
Taiko Space Invaders. And then
Taika Waititi's Taiko drum set. I don't know if this is racist or not.
Wow.
Yeah, but let's stop this one before it gets out of hand.
I'm just waiting for him to do the inevitable job with the work with Nicolas Cage. I don't think they've worked together yet, but I'm sure that's coming.
It needs to.
It'll be good.
Anyway, music. Let's go. Let's turn this nightmare off before we say awful things.
Let's have music from
like Houdini's Ghostbusters. I would love that so much. No. His next movie would be the next Ghostbusters. I would so watch that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
There's
That'd be
already a new
brilliant.
Ghostbusters coming out. It's made by like the same, like the Ghostbusters, like cousin, son, something like that. It's already disappointing.
Isn't that just like the new Men in Black? Anyway, music. Matt, what's the music?
We're going to have music from what will annoy Alan the most.
Literally anything that you do.
Okay, we're going to have music from Dead or Alive 6.
Uh,
Does that
Yeah.
game have music?
Yeah, it has music.
no, it has tits.
It's just like badly mixed.
It's
So you
got-
can't hear it overall.
It's got new
explosion.
costumes, which is great. So the new costumes are really good. They're pirates.
Jesus Christ.
They're really just not caring with the themes, the costumes anymore, are they?
I think they've given a shit for a long
I
time.
don't think they ever did.